No, it's spoiled? Wow, what the? Here comes the explosion. Emotional prowesses, his EQ, emotional expression. By him depressing his psychic power, he also depresses emotional expression, right? So that is a trade-off that he was not aware, or not really. Hello friends, my name is Benoit Kim, a UPenn educated licensed psychotherapist and a professional yapper at your service. Welcome back. I cannot believe Mob joined the body improvement club, the bodybuilding club at the end of last episode. But of course, underneath that comedy represents his autonomy, his first autonomous choice made out of his own agency, not to be exploited for his usefulness or his utility, but to be accepted unconditionally. True, meaningful belonging. Isn't that all we want? Athathin Nation Zero, Helix Seed, and Jiren Shimaru are the founding sponsors here. Thank you so much for your support since day one. And shout out to every single YouTube family and patron folks out there. Thank you so much. Sit back and I hope you enjoy. All right, I'm ready for another episode of non-stop laughter and deep insights. Here we go. Can those shorts be any shorter? Body improvements. And of course, physical fitness, physique, body improvements, bodybuilding, etc. All of that is an effort and an avenue, not the only way, one of different many avenues for self-improvement, personal growth, confidence, self-esteem. And of course, just like anything in life, we can overly course correct. Too much of a good thing will have negative influence. Just like water. Water is life, H2O, one of the most crucial ingredients for any species and human survival. At the same time, if we drink too much water in one sitting, we can actually drown from water. Did you know that? When we consume too much overwhelming amount of water, we literally drown internally and we could die. Right, water is great. It's essential, it's necessary. Yet too much of a good thing will have negative impact. And what is true, no matter how you slice it. That's why universal truth can be seen throughout different facets of life, and we have to seek them out. And this is one of those universal truths. Body improvement is great. Physique is great. I'm a veteran, and I've been a 5 a.m., 6 a.m. gym goer for a long, long time out of necessity, not just because I'm a morning person, but because of my work schedule and it's just too much for me to work out after I finish work. So I do it in the morning for that residual morning energy, not just for a discipline. It's just a routine that works for me, benefits my mental health, my wellness. At the same time, if I get too fixated on working out, the fitness, the physique, the resistance training, I get enslaved to that thing. I get too overly fixated and I develop body dysmorphia. And a lot of folks who work out, guys or girls across the gender, many of us suffer from modern body dysmorphia. And again, that could be a symptom of overfixation on the physique. And again, working out is great, but it's all about moderation. And it's a trope, it's a truism, but it is true. Fight on. Mob. He must be anemic. I think he just physically frail and physically weak. Mob stamina 0%. What is his psychic power / emotional suppression barometer at? Was it like 27-30% last episode? You see what the president is saying? There must be something wrong with Mob. Who would choose body improvement club at the last minute? You see that? As I talked about last episode, and this is not against, I guess, the presidents or the people of a telepathy club. They're not of malice. It's just they're desperate to make sure their club does not get disbanded, right? That's why it was their desperate effort. At the same time, though, what I said is valid. They only wanted Mob for the sake of his utility, his purpose. What can he do for me? What is his perceived usefulness? Oh yeah, if he joins our club, then we will have 5 members and we will not be disbanded by the VP of student council. Great. He will keep our club stay afloat. he will keep us going. That is his usefulness. It's not who Mob is. It's not the essence of who he is. It's not the friendship. It's the usefulness, the utility. And because of that, the president is saying that there's something wrong with him. The judgments, the labeling, the criticism, they come out as a symptom of this impure, agenda-based intention with strings attached.
倉田部長の番ですよ。
うっす。あ、部屋を使わせていただき誠にありがとうございます。別に土下座。
Yo, you see that? The president went from judging there must be something wrong with him to literally getting on their knees, kneeling before this massive, I don't know if he's the president of the Body Improvement Club or not. You see the contrast between the president's attitude of the Telepathy Club? One moment she was judging and labeling Mob. Another, now they're kneeling before him. Because again, it's all about utility, usefulness. I will kneel before you because you allow us to use the room. Okay, win-win.
それは
影山が倒
Look
れ
at those calves. Yo. Wow. Yo, respect.
すまないが見ててやってくれるか。
っていうかあんた
Yo, Mob.
なんで肉塊部に入ったのよ。
That makes sense. That makes sense. Why run if you can just fly and teleport and float? Why work out when you can lift anything and everything with your psychic power and ESP? Why improve your physicality if your psychic ability allows you to do everything for you? Right? That's true.
って欲しいわよ全く。
Show him. Let's go, Mob.
こんなのでも信じてもらえますか？
Yo.
お願い、私の色に協力してちょうだい。
え？
何よ、逆走。最初は本を読んで実践を試みていたけど、
My dream is to contact the extraterritorial forms, aliens or unknown life forces out there. Again, you see that? Her attitude changes, switches based on increased utility, increased usefulness of Mob. Everything for her is strings attached. There's alternative motives. It's all about her. What can you do for me? Can you join my club so we can be sustained? Can you fulfill my dream? Can you do me a favor? Everything for her is about usefulness, right? And again, I don't know her besides the 2 episodes of Reveal, but so far she's very agenda specific. Her motives and incentives are not pure. It's not about the person, but about the things they can do for me. It's very self-centered in a sense. And maybe she embodies selfishness in the episode at least, right? It's not really about the collective utility and the benefits of everyone else, but it's about me, 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 me.
成果も得られず、いつしかダラダラ過ご
To the animation though.
モブ君、私たちと共にテレパシーを研究し、無限
筋トレあるんで。
Ah.
なんでだよ。私の情熱に対して冷めすぎだろう。
僕は
I'm burning with passion, but what do you mean research together? What can you do for Mob? Because a part of social reciprocity, definition right here, social reciprocity, reciprocating social relationships. And part of that can be, I guess sometimes you scratch my back, I scratch your back, give and receive, give and receive. Again, if you only do that, if that's the only mode of social reciprocity, then that's transactional relationships. It's superficial relationships. Again, there is time and place, like business, like deals, professional setting. Again, it's not wrong. It's just a time and place and different social context demands different social reciprocity. So in that aspect, if the president wants a transactional relationship underneath a small facets of social reciprocity, then you must ask, what can you do for a Mob? Or research together? What are you gonna research? You've gone nowhere until Mob just revealed his psychic power. So again, it's about her. And she's not willing to give. She just want to take, or receive. And this is interesting. I work with so many clients of mine in my private practice where actually most of them who come to me they're dealing and struggling with people pleasing tendency. They're struggling with prioritizing the needs of others by bending forward and backward, by deprioritizing their own well-being, their own needs, by putting themselves last, which creates a lot of distress, psychological problems, psychological suffering, emotional distress, because they're putting themselves last. And people pleasing at its core, and I talked about it in other series, is we are afraid of not being accepted. And because we struggle with self-worth, I matter. I matter. And so many of us, we struggle with this idea that we matter. So what do? We put ourselves last by bending forwards and backwards, by putting everyone else and anyone above us. And we suffer silently. That's people pleasing. And that's because so many of my clients, they give, and they never receive. And so many of my clients, they struggle with receiving praises. They're receiving compliments. They have a knee-jerk allergic reaction when I praise them, when I affirm them, when I validate their strength. Not in a fluffy way, but in a genuine way based on evidence and proof. Yet they recoil. Why? Because they don't think they matter. They don't think they're worthy. Even in the Bible, because I'm a practicing Christian, right? It says, love your neighbors. Do not be selfish. Do not be self-indulgent. At the same time, God and the gospel never told us to also not care about ourselves. Does that make sense? Not being selfish is not the same thing as putting ourselves last. Not being selfish is not the same thing as deprioritizing our needs. Not being selfish is not the same as not caring about ourselves. It's very different. On the surface, behaviorally, it might look the same, but in the inside, the core looks different. But here, she's all about take. And interestingly, Mob, our dear Mob Kun, is all about give. For Regin, right, the fraud mentor, for everything else. But he's never receiving. And the first time he may receive of care and thought and consideration is from the Body Improvement Club. That's why he was carried physically by the massive silverback gorilla of a physique god, right?
とやりたいことを見つけたんです
Yes.
それが筋肉つけることだっていうの。超能力があるのに。
It's not about muscles, it's about improvement.
男の魅力を身につけたくてとでも言えばいいんですかねいや別に
Oh,
モテねえよ。
interesting. What?
筋肉をつけてもあんたはモテない。絶対にだ。
じゃあどうすれば
テレパシーで女の
Why is she so harsh, dude? You told him you had a dream. And then as soon as he's like, oh, actually, I'm not your slave. I have my own interests, my own aspirations. I'm gonna work out because I want to improve as a man. And as soon as she found out that he's like, oh, I want to be popular, because he was blushing, so I'm guessing he does want to be popular, not for the sake of fluffy, superficial, the vanity of popularity, but rather he want to be popular, I think, to draw attention and stand up and be able to speak to his crush. I think that's the reason why he want to be popular. Not with anyone else, but with the girl of his dream, his crush. And then what did she say? You won't be. What? Why are you like this? Huh? Why are you like this? Huh? But again, utility. It's all about take.
心を読むの。
Well,
おす
that's
りゃモテモ
intrusive.
テよ。
何
And her ill advice, just read a girl's minds, that is so intrusive and invasive. What? That's interesting, right? That's an interesting ethical question and ethical dilemma. If you had the power to read people's minds with this telepathy and superpower, but obviously people are not going to give you a consent to read their minds. Think about the minds. Think about how private it is. One of the most important legal foundation and legal pillar for psychotherapy is client and therapist confidentiality. But everything and anything will be confidential, limits to the confine of therapy sessions. Except, of course, there are 3 exceptions, right? We call this confidentiality and limits to confidentiality because every single helpers, nurses, physicians, like a lot of us helpers, we are legally mandated reporters, so are teachers. But there are 3 limits to confidentiality legally within the psychotherapeutic container. 1, if any time a client endorses intent to harm themselves or harm other people, we have to break that confidentiality to report to the authorities because we want the clients to trust us. Relationship matters, confidentiality matters. At the same time, safety and the safety of the community trumps everything else because safety comes first. Second, if they're going to harm an elder or children, we also have to break that confidentiality because again, safety comes first. And the third is extremely rare, but if I'm being put on the stands by a judge and the judge and the court subpoena me and my client's records, which is confidential, the judge, it's the law, so they can trump our confidentiality. And I'm forced to break that limitations or that confidentiality. So those three are the only limitations, generally speaking. And outside of those limitations, everything and anything is confidential. That's why clients trust us because they have the protection of the legal protection and ethical protection. But if we were to have power to read minds, what confidentiality, right? You can just peer into and literally invade and intrude upon everyone's most private, most intimate, most sensitive thoughts and information. And who's going to give you consent? No one. So interesting ethical dilemma. If you were to have a magic or a mind reading power, psychic power, are you going to use it? Probably, because it's a superpower and we're at least going to try it out. And then what? Are you going to continue to invade and intrude upon people's privacy to get what you want? From that perspective, it's actually a very antisocial behavior. It's a very sociopathic behavior because sociopathic, antisocial means we are against the social norms for the sake of our selfish gains and needs. We put our needs above everyone else without remorse, without feeling bad about it. When we break laws, break the ethical, break the social norms, that's what that means. Antisocial behaviors. Very interesting. Anyway, random thought.
できないな。例の声は聞くことはできるんだが。手がいるのか？
Pretty spot on.
女か。
Yo, Mob is like, oh shit, maybe my master does have psychic power. I was like, whoa, got him. But of course, what Raijin's doing is just, someone commented on YouTube that made me laugh out loud, actually chuckle. It's like, this is what, Raijin is what happens when you max out the stats on charisma, but nothing else. That's so true. Anyway, so obviously one of the techniques, one of the tendencies that scammers, con artists, and frauds utilize is social engineering. Definition right here. Social engineering. We are engineering social relationships to get what we want. In a way that's like social hacking, right? It's in terms of like, I don't know, dressing a certain way, speaking a certain mannerism, right? Learning the speech patterns of other people, learning about other people's behavior cues, behavior signaling, so we can analyze, learn, mimic, etc., etc. Those are all part of social engineering, right? And again, it's not a negative thing. There's proper place, just like for everything else. But here, Raijin has mastered social engineering in addition to his charisma and oozing confidence, although that confidence is false because he actually does not have psychic power. But regardless, because of all that, he's very good at deducing, social deductions. He knew based on his experience and again, social engineering. He's like, oh yeah, the fact that Mob is asking means he has someone in mind he wants to read the minds of, and it's probably a girl. Why? Because he's a middle schooler, so he's an adolescent. What do adolescent girls and boys care the most about? Of course, a general blanket statement, but generally, romance. This is a stage of development for them to start thinking about outside of themselves, about relationships, intimate relationships. So it makes sense. And this is all social engineering.
わかりやすいね。モテたいのは全
Yep. That's actually called, he said that every middle schooler, boys want to be popular. It's not just boys, by the way. It's non-gender specific. We call it the spotlight effect. That face right here. Spotlight effect. It's a psychological phenomenon that adolescents go through when they feel like everyone's eyes are on them. Everyone's attention is on them. They have the spotlight at all times. That's why so many adolescents, and especially middle schoolers, because it is a psychological transition, an emotional transition from elementary school where they don't struggle with spotlight effects. Although now I'd argue with social media and etc. with a lot of iPad parenting generation, I think they have become more aware in a detrimental sense about aesthetics, beauty standard, makeup, what they look like, how they dress, etc. But before the social media era, I don't think, generally speaking, elementary students didn't really care about that. They were more carefree. It was just more for the sake of fun, exploring, curiosity. But then middle school hits, and there is a psychological transition, and that's a spotlight effect. So that's what's happening, right? That's why a lot of adolescents struggle, guys and girls struggle with the outfit they wear, the makeup they put on, their perception of others of them, how they view them, their reputation, popularity, etc., etc. And that's why a lot of bullying also starts to emerge around middle school time, because again, peer relationships, social connections, reputation. Again, a lot of that can be attributable to spotlight effect, along with other multitude of factors. Yep, exactly right.
悩んでますね。だって笑顔が
Who is this? Who is this random auntie wearing? What is that? A face mask? What is this? A cult member? Yo, what is this?
で悩んでるんでしょ。
悩んでないです。
Yeah, this is not creepy at all. What the? It's literally a smiley face mask. This person's either a serial killer or a cult member trying to recruit.
辛いでしょうね。
Nope.
別に大丈夫です。
そうなのよね。やっぱり健康じゃなくて。
Oh, it is.
悩みを解決したいなら私についてきなさい。ますよ。
行きます。
Yo, you see that? This is perfect. And this is such an impressive writing. It's very tight. As soon as I talked about Regent's social engineering, con artist techniques, deduction, social reasoning, etc., a suspected serial killer or a cult member shows up. And she's using the same thing. She's going down the list of, okay, is it work stress? Is it life? Okay, it must be studies because he's a student. Oh, it must be family drama. Oh no? Okay, it must be love. Everything she said is probabilistically and likely one of the reasons that he might be stressed and looking down, feeling down. Well, yeah, for a middle schooler, what are the domains of life? School, family, love, or relationships. Actually, not just for middle schoolers, for all of us, right? But especially, it's more pronounced for middle schoolers because of what I just talked about. And at the end, she's like, you'll be popular. And mom is like, yes, I'll go. You see that? This is what con artists, and this is what a lot of cults use. They actually exploit loneliness. People who are vulnerable because of their suffering and pain. That's why cults, they're despicable. They're the worst thing. I think there's a special place in hell. Doesn't even have to be Christian hell, just metaphorical hell. I think there's a special place in hell for them because they're exploiting vulnerability. They're exploiting and attacking and getting people. I don't mean physically attacking. I mean attacking their souls. They're deriving utilities and profit and whatever other agendas and alternative motives they have in mind by going after people who are dealing with tremendous pain, tremendous suffering, tremendous loneliness. Those are the people they go after. And every single cult, they utilize the same social engineering, the same tactics that this weird smiley face lady just used. Despicable. Forgive me, Jesus, for saying they will go to hell, but my point stands.
つい先月に作られた
Brand new religious order. It's a cult, yo. Oh my gosh.
教なんですよ。
宗教？
教団名はかっこいい。
It's called Laugh Out Loud, LOL. Is that why they're wearing a smiley face? Founded by our leader Dimple-sama. Ow, my neck. Dimple-sama. Dimple, LOL cult. Yo, thank you for this show. I needed this release. I needed this laughter. Oh man, I look forward to this, the show every single week. Just what a light. It brings so much lightness into my heaviness of my clinical practice and trauma and anxiety, depression, all that, right? This is amazing.
教祖エクボ様が設立した
Dimple
今世紀
様
最も
dude.
ハッピーでどんなものもたちまち笑顔にしてしまうのです。
Has a mysterious power, so I'm guessing Dimple has psychic power that makes you laugh, or yeah, controls your laughter, makes you happy, air quote. Because that's deep, right? This is philosophical. Can happiness be manufactured? Can we manipulate people's happiness? Because cult is about manipulation. It's about psychological and emotional manipulation by exploiting on loneliness and people suffering, as I talked about. And happiness, we cannot manipulate or manufacture happiness. So this is a very, very interesting plot and very interesting writing.
でどうやったらモテるんですか？
Where are they going, dude? How
かっ
deep?
こ笑いは
Basement
決
3?
して怪しい団体ではありませんから。
So creepy, dude.
たくさん集まってる。
Yeah, this is not sus at all.
おや君も信じ
This is interesting. I wonder if they all want to be popular too. So popularity, if we're to extrapolate beyond just what Mob wants by, again, gaining the attention and recognition of the girl he has a crush on, I think popularity here in the show, in the episode, symbolizes our desire, our wants. It's what we place above everything else, either through hedonistically, either through hedonism, either through the pursuit of our own happiness, right? That popularity for many of us could be influence, could be prestige, could be wealth, could be career, could be fill in the blank. And that's why Mob is like, I wonder if everyone here wants to be popular too, right? That's what he's saying. But what I'm gathering is everyone here who's being exploited by Dimple-sama through his psychic power of manipulation, happiness, or laughter, or smile, whatever it is, he is going after everyone who are lonely, who are struggling, who are suffering. And everybody wants something. This is what Friedrich Nietzsche said, right? Hundreds of years ago, right? Very famous, obviously, philosopher. He is known for nihilism, as I talked about many times, but he's not truly a nihilistic. And again, I don't want to repeat the things I've said before. But the point is, in his famous writing, in his seminal writing in 1862, Gay Science, Friedrich Nietzsche declared God is dead. It was not a proclamation of excitement. He actually wrote that in deep despair and concerns and depression. In Gay Science, in his seminal work, like I said, he declared God is dead. Because if God died, if God were dead, that means we, the people, need to create a new God or fill in that void, fill in that existential, psychological, emotional void. We got to fill that void with something else. We humans will replace God with something else. And many of us will feel the burden of shouldering the responsibility of the world by ourselves through this capitalistic framework of hyper-independence, self-sufficiencies. But as I talked about many times, life is a team sport. We cannot play team sport solo. And I think one of the biggest disservice of capitalistic framework, and of course it has its benefits, of course, everything we enjoy, YouTube, creator economy, right? All of this is only possible because of capitalism. Nothing is all good. Nothing is all bad. That's very black and white. That's very all or nothing thinking, which is a form of cognitive distortions, by the way. A lot of the things are in the gray. It's nuanced. The point is, I think one of the biggest disservice of capitalistic framework is we were taught we have to be hyper sufficient, hyper independent, never rely on other people. Especially a lot of men who I work with in my private practice struggle with this. That's why they suppress their emotions, just like our Mob-kun, emotional suppression. They never vent. They never express. They suppress everything. Because we were taught as men, it's not about ethnicities. Culturally, men, we are taught, generally speaking, just work harder. Stop complaining. Put your head down. Keep going. Be the provider. Do whatever it takes. Put yourselves last. Put everyone else above you. And what happens over time? Deep, deep, silent suffering that so many men battle with. Of course, women suffer too, obviously. But generally speaking, women, they're better at expressing. They have more meaningful social avenues and more meaningful relationships where they can vent, they could receive feedback, they could express, they could be expressive with their emotional content, with their good friends, different social groups. But a lot more men are lonelier in that sense. And statistics shows this, research verified this, my own clinical practice affirmed this. This is a known fact that there is a silent loneliness epidemic that is plaguing so many men across the world. This is what popularity represents. It's not necessarily just to be popular, but it is that one thing we all desire, especially when we're struggling in the darkness. That's what Dempo-sama is exploiting. Again, despicable.
え
だったらステージに上がって。
なんでですか？
Whoa.
モブ君
ん
私わかる同じクラスの目里よ
Oh, nice.
あ、この人初会話だ。
勧誘されたの
僕は
Hey, how do you say you're a cult leader without saying you're a cult leader? Right there. What is this? Wearing this clown of a face, smiley face mask with the Dempo-sama. What a clown, dude. But yeah, how do you say you're a cult leader without saying you're a cult leader? I am dead. Speaking of LOL. Wow, what a writing. This is awesome. This is amazing. Absolutely love this.
皆さん笑ってますか
Oh gosh, that must be psychic power.
温まってきたかな
Sparkle?
みんないい笑顔だ
Ah, that's the power, the sparkle. Also, why did the writer do him so dirty? Why did the writer or the studio make Dempo-sama look like Buddha? Obviously, Buddhism represents non-permanence, non-attachment, right? Obviously, they believe in reincarnation to become Buddha himself, eventually down the road, right? And obviously, Buddhism is not a cult. They have a lot of timelessly tested and extremely valid teachings, principles. Again, I'm a practicing Christian, but I believe in, well, not believe, like I subscribe and I practice some of the mindfulness and Buddhist teachings, like, again, non-attachments, non-permanence. This too shall pass. It's not about the me, but what can we do, right? Act of service, etc., etc. Anyway, why did they do him so dirty by making him look like Buddha, bro? That's crazy. Yo. Oh gosh. What a creepy bunch.
今日ここに3人の住
That's interesting. Everyone laughed. They warmed up. They're laughing uncontrollably. And Dimple says, stop. And what do we see? Every single cult member in this basement stopped in perfect synchronized unity. What does that say? They're smiling and laughing on the outside, which are the byproduct of happiness and joy. But here, it's manufactured. It's being manipulated. It's being controlled. Even level deeper. When Dimple says stop, everyone stopped. What that means is collectively, everyone's laughing and smiling under his enchantment of his smiley psychic power. But individually and beneath the surface, no one has free will. No one has agency. No one has autonomy. They're not free. They're not free emotionally. They're being controlled. Such an interesting writing. This show is amazing. This episode is amazing. Is it the show or is it my overthinking and overanalysis? I'm sure it's both, right? Because I can only feed off of my overthinking machine of my brain. Only works when there's enough psychological content. And this show has that. Right? So it's definitely the show. Bravo. It's amazing.
人が加わることになりました拍手あ、なんだ
Why? Laugh even if you're in pain, then your hearts will be free. Again, that's the irony, because no one in this basement is free. They're all being controlled. And I think I know what this episode is about. I'm not even halfway, and I've already yapped for almost 39 minutes. Oh my yapping. I think this episode represents toxic positivity and false or fake happiness. It's not real. It's superficial. It's manipulated. It's toxic because we are pretending to laugh and smile even when we're struggling internally. Toxic positivity. It's not real. It's invalidating of the actual experienced suffering and pain that so many of us go through. And I talked tremendously about toxic positivity syndrome in Takopi series, definition right here. My reaction to Takopi's Original Sin. It's a dark show, but I think it's one of the most important shows that we need to watch because the show talks about why toxic positivity is such a massive disservice to so many of us and the actual suffering we go through. Here, that's what Dimple and LOL Club or LOL Cult represents. False happiness, fake happiness. Hide your true feelings. Shove it deep inside and just laugh. Pretend nothing is wrong. And we are all happy. Lies.
解放された心には余裕することが幸せを維持する条件なのです。それが我らかっこ笑いの教え。
Facts.
いました。
なんと不幸な不景気の犠牲者。笑えなくなるのも無理はないでしょう。でも大丈夫。スマイルマスク。
You see that? He's putting the guy on blast on stage by how sad. Another victim of recession. Just blatant disrespect, zero compassion, zero consideration, zero thoughtfulness about how he feels.
って強制しましょう。
おい何を
ちょっと
You see that? There's no consent. This is straight up coercion and forcing. Yo, this is like physical assault. This is kidnapping. That's what it is. This is kidnapping. You know what the legal definition of kidnapping is? Being transported to a different location without giving consent or involuntary transportation. That's kidnapping. This is kidnapping. Wild. What is it, Scientology?
これは救済措置なのです。ただ。抵抗。最後に女の子、さっきから何か言いたそうな顔だ。
I just can't get over they made him look like Buddha. Why did they have to give Dimple the Buddha ears? Is it because Buddha's the smiling Buddha statue is like a famous thing? Is that why? Like, yo, they did Buddha dirty. Oh my gosh.
宗教団体かっこ笑いこんな人数の盲信者を囲ったっていうの
Yeah,
怪しいわ
what's their marketing?
おう
Yeah, what's their
君は
marketing strategy?
血を中
Ah.
あなたたちの悪い噂
She's infiltrating. Yo, brave soul. Wow. I feel like something bad's gonna happen. Obviously, she'll probably get overtaken by Dimple because he has psychic power and what Mob is gonna save her somehow. Is that the main plot? I mean, that's the setup, sounds
取
like.
材させてもらいます
悪い噂
集団催眠
Ah, interesting. Brainwash. Splendid.
では一つ証明しよう。先ほどの男性を見てください。数分前は不幸な人間でした。
笑い出したどうして
彼は今ま
This is interesting. I wonder if Dimple can transmit his psychic power through the medium of these masks. Very interesting. Truly, they didn't do anything bad except just dragging you off the stage without your consent and putting a mask on top of you without your consent. Yeah, they did nothing bad. Just casual coercion and kidnapping. What? Young lady, they did nothing but bad and illegal since you guys got here.
仕事も見つかりますよ
I'm sure you'll find a job. Toxic positivity. That's false hope. How do you know that? How do you know he will find a job? Can you predict the economy of Japan? Can you predict the global economy and the state of the market? How do you know? You don't know his resume, his experience, his mental health state. What if he's too depressed to work? What if he needs to take a break? You don't know any of that. And what did you say? I'm sure you will find a job. That is false promise. As a psychotherapist, I never make any false guarantees. I never tell my clients, hey, I'm sure and I promise you will get better in 6 sessions. You will get better next session. First of all, that will be a lie and that will be unethical. And secondly, I'm not God. I am just a man who happened to be a psychotherapist, who happened to choose my calling and pursue my psychological expertise and modalities and trainings and teaching. I don't know what I don't know. But here, all these false promises, right? Again, toxic positivity. It's fake.
やっぱり変よ
Yeah, super off.
この空間には何かある
Yes.
失礼します
Oh
ダ
no,
メ
too
です
late.
あな
Yup.
たはいたずらにかっこ笑いに踏み込み我々のスマイルに疑問を呈した
Kidnapping.
嫌です自分に嘘はつきたくないもの
This is fascinating. He's like, if I'm being forced to, it's not sincere, right? Just because everyone else is smiling and laughing, that doesn't mean I want to. She's talking about her self-agency. But let's go a level deeper. Let's get really psychological. Welcome to Psychology 101 class with Professor Kim. This is the groupthink bias definition right here. Groupthink bias. Groupthink means it's like an echo chamber, right? We conform to the common norm and the established status quo of the group we are in. All of us are in a varying degrees and different variations of groupthink. Some of our groupthinks are smaller, some of our groupthinks are larger. It could be on a community level, could be on a municipal city level, could be on a state, could be on a national, international, etc., etc. Of course, the ultimate groupthink is humanity, human species, human being. But ironically, that is I think is the most important and healthy groupthink. Think like a human, respect and love, and extend grace and generosity for one another underneath the groupthink of being a human. Yet, so many of us, we care about the most important groupthink the least. We all care about our tribalism. Us against you, you against us, otherism. Anyway, sorry, I got distracted. Groupthink, right? And there's a really famous, and there's a different variations to this study, but there's a really famous study to prove groupthink bias and the power and influence of social normative influence. I'll say that again. There's many different variations of studies who proved the influence of groupthink bias and social normative influence. For example, one of the variations of studies with a very decent group size, controlled settings, right? Independent, dependent variables, and all that was they had, I think it was like 11 or 12 marbles in a room, and they had 10 or 12 people in the room. And they're all being observed by the one-sided, double-sided window. So the controllers, the studies, the researchers can watch them, but they cannot look in the outside. We've seen those in like interrogation rooms and different shows out there, right? And those rooms are common in psychological studies and research. But the trick is with this study, I think it was like half and half. Again, the details might be blurry because it's been years, but again, the gist stands. I think about half or like a significant amount of group from that 10 to 12 people, they're actually actors and they were told to miscount the marbles. I think there were like 10 marbles and they said, oh, there's 9 or 11 marbles. It's either, but they miscounted by 1 purposely. Again, let me say that again. There are 10 marbles, but those paid actors within this control study said, oh, there's 9 marbles. They purposely miscounted. And they are sharing their answers with deep conviction. Do you know what happens with the study? The remaining actual participants of the study who are unaware of the role of the paid actors and all these instructions, because that's the study. Do you know what they said when they were asked by the interviewer, hey, how many marbles do you think are in front of your eyes? The first half of the group who are paid actors, they all say 9, and the remaining actual participants actually said 9. But in reality, in actuality, there's 10 marbles. Everyone can see there's 10 marbles, yet they said 9. Why did they say 9? Groupthink bias and the pressure from social normative influence. No one wants to feel like an outcast. No one wants to be left out as the outlier. We conform to the established dominant social norms for better or worse. And groupthink is powerful because it teaches us to suppress and ignore our own gut instincts by conforming to the established group normative. And that's not always a healthy thing. It's not always a good thing. And that marble study shows that. And again, there's so many different variations to really prove the influence and the pressure of social normative influence / groupthink. Here, that's what's happening. It's a groupthink. It's the social normative influence that everyone's laughing, everyone's smiling, so you must do the same. If you're not with us, then you're against us. Fascinating. Oh no! No! Wow. Wow, dude, her willpower and self-determination is super impressive. And that's why not everyone who's lonely and who's enduring deep suffering will fall prey to cults and their recruitment and their social engineering hacks. Because again, willpower, determination, all that, there's variations, right? It's like different makeup, different genetics, different influence, etc., etc. And I think she represents like the epitome of an independent journalist. What do you have to do as an independent journalist? And I know, generally speaking, journalism is dead because we live in this headline culture, chasing sensationalism. It's all about profit, breaking news. It's all about the headline, headline, headline. So the true unbiased independent journalism is dying. That's why shout out to YouTube. Speaking of capitalism, there are so many great journalists. There are so many great internet journalists who are discovering, uncovering corruption, scandals, because they're not being influenced by profit, lobbying, influence, propaganda. Why? Because YouTube is giving them a career so they can focus on doing the good work. They could focus on doing good journalism. And that good journalism is actually being awarded financially too. So win-win-win. Like I said, capitalism, of course, it has trade-offs. It has good sides and negative sides, of course. But here, I digressed. Here, she represents the independent journalism. She has the willpower and the determination to not be influenced by the groupthink, by the social norm, by thinking for herself. She has the independent, critical thinking. That's why she's resisting the power, that psychic power of whatever smile. Very impressive.
すみません。これって笑顔とか幸せがテーマ
Mob
で
is
モテるかどうかは
uninfluenced.
別の話ですよね。帰っていいですか？
彼は
意味があるようです。
別に悩んでないです。
It didn't work for Mob at all. The psychic power is not working. Yo. Deep. Yo. That's my first full body goosebumps. My dad told me people who don't smoke are missing out on half of their life. What? FOMO from not smoking cigarettes? But that's exactly what Mob is saying. That is his independent thinking. That's his critical thinking. It made me realize everyone have a different definition of missing out. And let's extrapolate this. Everyone has a different idea of happiness, joy, popularity, love, right? We all have different pursuit of happiness. Underneath the happiness, there's different categories, different definition, different context. That's what Mob is saying. Super astute.
そういう話じゃないのに。かっこ笑いは私が全人類つまずいている場合じゃ。
I can't let this trip you up. You see that? In a sense, the Telepathy Club president is a microcosm of Dimple, the cult leader. Everything I do is for me. So me, can become the religious leader, prolific figure for all of humanity. I cannot let this trip me up. I must succeed. It's for my success, my vanity. It's all about me. Endless self-indulgence. According to the longest longitudinal studies by Harvard Medical School, the study is 76 years long. It's a 76 years of longitudinal study. Right here, it's the famous Harvard Medical School happiness study. And 3 core ingredients were identified from the 76 years of longitudinal study. It is the longest last-standing longitudinal study ever been done in social sciences. Of course, it's by Harvard Medical School. Super credible. 3 things. 1, meaningful social relationships. They studied a lot of people in different blue zones. There's one in Japan. There's one in Scandinavian countries, right? There's quite a few. I think 7 or 8 across the world. Meaningful social relationships. Being part of a meaningful community. Not feeling lonely. That was one of the ingredients identified for sustained happiness and longevity, right? Second, what do you think it is? It's the ability for us to really think for ourselves, to really understand the importance of all of us within. My role. What do I mean? The importance of our individual strength. We're not doing that for the sake of self-indulgence, but rather act of service. What can we do for other people? What can I do for the community that I'm a part of? Act of service. And in that, the third ingredient is actually related to the second ingredient and the first. They're all interconnected. The third ingredient was gratitude. And this is very counterintuitive. Study revealed to us that people mistakenly thought, people had this fallacy, misconception that only happy people can be grateful. That gratitude was a byproduct of happiness. But the study flipped it on its head. It's actually the opposite. It's actually conversely. It's actually the other way around. It's that people who are grateful feel happy. What does that mean? Gratitude is not the byproduct of happiness, but rather happiness is a byproduct of gratitude. Happiness is a feature of being grateful. Again, this is not about toxic positivity. This is just our ability to give thanks. Thanksgiving, being grateful for the things that we have, for the people that exist in our lives. Gratitude. So 3 things, right? Meaningful social relationships, meaningful community, act of service, and gratitude. And the study also shows that, to wrap up my yapping here, that act of service is actually one of the best ways. Again, counterintuitively, act of service is actually one of the best ways for us to feel gratitude. Because by serving other people, we feel and we realize and we acknowledge what we can feel grateful for in our lives. That's why I'm a deacon in my church. That's why I volunteer every single Sunday at the high school ministry as an educator to give back, hold space, mentor so many high school boys, because that's what I teach and serve, who don't have father figures, who don't have male role models in their lives. I treat them out to lunch almost every weekend by spending my own money. And I'm not doing this to brag or for a pat in the back. No, I share this because that's my act of service. That's my servant's leadership, a big part of Christianity and my pillar and philosophy as a practicing Christian. And through that, sure, the students and the ministry feel grateful for my service, but I also feel tremendously fulfilled. I also feel tremendous gratitude, and that makes me happy. I'm not this altruistic saint. I also derive a lot of happiness, a lot of joy in serving. That's what's happening, act of service, right? So to bring this back, what am I saying? Dimple and Telepathy Club presidents, they are not doing anything about serving other people. There is no such concept as act of service for them, because for them, it's about taking, me. And ironically, he preaches about happiness, but he's not happy because he's not serving. It's all about self-indulgence. And people who are grossly self-indulgent are not happy. This has been proven across the studies, across clinically, and so on.
笑うことの素晴らしさを知ってもらいた
Then
い
why don't you smile, you
別に大
fraud?
丈夫です
Nope.
ライブリーダー3人とにらめっこ牛乳を口に含んで先に笑った方が負け
What? Yeah, obviously. Hold on, when did Mob get to 58%? Wasn't he at like 30 something last episode? Where did that 28.5% jump from? Oh, is that because he's dealing with a lot of emotional suppression? Because he doesn't want to be here. He's being coerced. He's being kidnapped. He's being physically forbidden to leave. So all that creates frustration. Oh, all that is frustration. Is built up, pent up energy. And he doesn't know what to do with it. So it's 58%. That is high. And also one last thing. It just hit me. Dimple Sama. I'm not going to call him Sama. Yo, screw that guy. Dimple Buddha. I'm sorry, Buddha. Is the perfect villain for Mob. Because Dimple's entire psychic power is to manipulate and force people to smile and laugh. What is Mob's biggest struggle? Emotional authenticity and emotional expression. Do you see that? In a sense, Mob is antithesis to Dimple's superpower. That's why his face mask power did not work on Mob. Mob is Dimple's greatest weakness. This is a perfect matchup. Brilliant.
準備はいい？モブは牛乳が好きだ。
Mob loves milk. He accepted the milk challenge because he just loves milk. What a pure soul. Mob, you are awesome.
レディーゴー
What the?
なんでだよ
Please don't tell me Mob just getting face splashed with milk by winning the game. So gross. Mob is losing even by winning.
情けないな私の渦に陥れて
Smile leader number. That didn't work.
普段から笑顔を強制していたのが裏目に
Forcing them to smile all the time backfired. That's interesting. That's the repetition. All these people, they've been primed psychologically and facially because you're always smiling. So what does that mean? They've been conditioned to smile easier than not. So even for this game, they can physically not hold back their smile and laugh. That's the condition. That's the power of condition. But of course, we are not just animals, right? We're not like dogs. We can't just be conditioned to do what the owners want us to do, right? We're not just behaviorism. We're not just behavioralistic. We're this dualistic creatures, right? We're of mind and body. We can also add soul, right? If you're agnostic, spiritual, or religious. That's why we cannot just be conditioned. But the point is, conditioning still plays a role. That's what the leader was saying. That's what Denpo was saying. That smiling all the time backfired.
たので帰ります。
待て私が蜂は絶対に譲らない必ず牛乳を吹いてもらうよ
No, it's spoiled. Wow, what the? What a scumbag, dude. What? Wow, he knew he couldn't win, so he freaking, not poisoned, but he put things into that milk so it spoiled and obviously tastes gross.
笑ってない。
Yeah. Oh. Second explosion.
笑顔は
Whoa.
なんでここにいるんだっけ
Yo. He just erased his power. He just press reset.
催眠派をかき
Oh,
消すな
dude,
どあり
second
え
explosion
な
coming,
ぜ
baby. I
笑わ
feel
せ
it.
ることができない仕方ない
Now Mob is pissed. What the? He's fighting you, you freaking scam, cult leader. Oh. Oh. Childhood trauma. Get a clue. Oh. That's one of Mob's scar and wounds. I say his childhood trauma, although he's still a child. Oh, the love of his life, his girl crush told him get a clue because he didn't conform to the social norms. He did not conform to the groupthink. And he said he's not bored. You know what my wife always tells me? That I look scary when I'm not smiling because I have RBF, right? Excuse my French, resting bitch face. I do. Like if I'm not smiling, if I just have a neutral facial expression, I look very intense and angry and mad. But I'm not. It's just my face. I'm born this way, right? It's like that first customer who visited Raijin in the episode 1. I feel the same way. This is just how I am. I just have an RBF. I can't control this. So I try to raise my eyebrows. I try to be more expressive. Because again, I don't want people to mistakenly think I'm mad or I'm feeling too intense, right? That's not conducive either. But in that sense, I relate and I really resonate with Mob's struggle. He's not bored. That's just his facial expression. He just has a flat facial expression. It's just part of his makeup, his facial features, just like my RBF. Right? So I really feel him. In addition to that, he get stabbed in his heart. by the girl of his dream that get a clue. And that's the same thing he heard from Dembo. So trauma was re-reminded, reactivated. So now progress toward Mob's explosion, 74%. We just had a 20% jump, leap, because of his emotional suppression, his inability to express his emotions, and that's leading to psychological and psychic explosion. What an episode.
私の
So
真の
deep.
力をお見せしますよ。
It's not gonna work. Mob is so much more powerful. Nope, too weak.
そうかこの人も超能力を
It just clicked for Mob. Oh my gosh, Mom is as powerful as he's dense. Mob, I love it.
教祖さんの力では笑うことができない
Because it's fake.
嫌いじゃないできないんだしたくても
Aww.
でもこれは悪気があるわけじゃないんです
Yeah.
そうか。女と一緒に笑えないだろう。人の
Exploitation.
感情は他者に
Man.
呼応する仕組みだからな。だがお前はそれができない。
Now, Dempo is just trying to trigger Mob. He's just exploiting his vulnerability and his struggle for the sake of his agenda. This is the lowest form of exploitation, emotional exploitation. And unknown to him, that exploitation is going to cause explosion and he's going to annihilate you. I hope so. And by the way, it's not that Mob doesn't have emotion, it's that he struggles with emotional authenticity and he struggles with emotional expression. It's not the same thing as he has no emotion. That is false. I talked about that in episode 1 too, right?
に孤独だ。
92. Oh my gosh.
最後のチャンスをやる。笑え。
その超能力
Oof. Yo. Oh, wait, what? He's an evil spirit? Oh shit. Whoa. This is an evil spirit? What? Oh no. This is now tainting his memory. Oh.
ここに一人の超能力者がいる。周囲からモブと呼ばれる小学生。彼は強力な力を持っていながらも、
Because judgments, groupthink, bias. Wow.
使用を避ける生活がコンプレックスになっていることに、
Wow. His aversion to using his powers has become a complex. What complex? Emotional complex. Not the complexity, but it's now it's tricky. Because by him suppressing and containing and constraining his psychic power, because he cares for the safety of other people. He is thoughtful, he's empathetic, he's genuine, he's loving. But because of that, the complex is now, he's also constraining and containing and holding back his emotional power. Emotional prowesses, his EQ, emotional expression. By him depressing his psychic power, he also depresses emotional expression, right? So that is a trade-off that he was not aware or not realized. Wow, 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 wow. Wow. Here comes the explosion. Yo. Yo. Rage. Yo. Yo. I didn't know when he became 100%, he became so much more of a savage.
ああいいやグループの仲間外れを殺すのがあんたの宗教
Yo. Too weak. Yo. Hulk mode. Didn't you say that last time? Yo. Oh my. He just pushed him. Yo. Wow. Nothing. I don't know about that, my guy. Yo, untouched. Annihilation. Vaporized. Wow. That was peak. I love this. One more question. Does every time he reaches the 100%, the psychic and emotional explosion stage, obviously after he reverts and resets the baseline, does some of his emotional suppression and unprocessed, unreleased emotions, they get released? Is that why he goes back to 0%? So it's almost like a cathartic, cleansing release moment for him? Or does it not reset? They're still lingering. I'm just curious. No, no, you're not, Mob. Oh, huh. Why do you have to be like them? Hey, is it really Mob Psycho 100 if Raijin does not at least drop some bars and drop some unexpected by like in passing wisdom? That's so deep. This is exactly what we talked about. We cannot let group think. The group dictate and suppress and silo our individuality. Not individualistic, but individuality. What makes every single one of us uniquely wholesome, wholesomely unique, and special. According to my great research, my tremendous research and preparation on this topic, I came to this empirical conclusion. There's only one of each one of us. Every single one of us, there's only one of one. What does that say? We are, every single one of us, we are special by definition. We are unique by definition. Every single one of us. That's what Raijin's saying. Why do we have to conform? Be weird. Embrace it. Before I started my anime reaction channel a year ago with Frieren series, I dealt with some insecurities, imposter syndrome, and nervousness. What was I nervous about? I was worried that my more analytical, more intellectual, more empirical approach, this more academic, in-depth analysis approach to anime reactions will be shunned, will be rejected by people. I dealt with like, well, people are not here to learn while they're watching anime reactions. They just want to feel belonged. They just want to enjoy their love of art, their love of anime, seeing other people having joy, being happy, consuming and watching the same art form that we call anime. This collective joy and fun. People are not here to learn, to be more insightful, to get smarter, but Anime Channel has been doing pretty well since I started a year and a half ago. And I realized, oh, I don't have to conform to millions of other anime reaction channels out there. I'm not the most expressive. I don't have this crazy over the top laugh. And that's not me. I'm not going to change me for the sake of metrics and engagements and popularity of my videos. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stick to who I am, being thoughtful, trying to be authentic, and do what I can best. And this is the medium, and this is the art form, this is the style I chose because it's authentic to who I am. Why do we have to be like them? What a important and profound commentary and advice by Reijun.
お前の人生の主役はお前だろ
Amen. We are the main characters of our lives. We are the authors of our stories. I said that earlier too, right?
そのグループはなくなってしまったんです。みんなで笑っていただけなのに。お前の空気の読めなさは破壊的だからな。
The density?
なんだ、詳しく話してみろ。
You see that? Again, Reijun is a fraud and, right, he is exploiting mob. But again, what I talked about, he represents this ambiguous, ambivalent attachment style. He still holds space. He still allows mob to find a sense of belonging. He still makes mob feel safe. Talk to me, vent, open up, tell me about it, right? What an interesting character Reijun is.
私たちは一体
エクボ様も寝てるぞ。
Yeah.
こんな顔だったか 典型的なマインドコントロールだ。救いじゃねえ。ただ依存させてるだけだ。
Mob Donalds? Mob Donalds. I am
集団
dead.
心理を用いた詐欺に多い手口だが、
Crowd psychology, that's groupthink. And what I said, social normative influence.
空
And
気の読め
performance.
ないお前には効果がなかった。つまりも
Yeah, great reframe. Yes. Aww. Wow, that's why he says 0%. Because he felt validated, he felt seen, he felt appreciated and acknowledged. That's why 0%. He doesn't have to suppress anything because he feels seen. Reijun, here's my first claps for you, man. You're pretty great, honestly. You're pretty great. You're my favorite fraud of all time.
起きなさい。遅刻するわよ。
おはよう。いい朝だな、相棒。
Who's this? What was that spirit? But he jumps 20%?
子供のためのイベントに巻き込まれてしまったモブ。その前に現れたのは乱暴者のイケメン。
Wait, what? Whoa, so many happy. Wait, what?
とても
Idiots only event. I love the title and whoa, that was like back to back. I don't even know what happened there. Anyway, no spoilers, right? Anyway, y'all, thank you guys for tuning in. I yapped for an hour and 23 minutes. This is the most psychologically dense and rich episode to date. Absolutely love this, and I hope you guys enjoy my yapping. And here's my main takeaway. Let's prioritize our individuality. What makes us shine? What makes us special by default over the conformity of the group? If people reject us for who we are not the problem. It is not us. It is them who are unwilling to accept us for who we are because of their own groupthink bias, because of their own social normative influence. It is them, not us. Please remember that. As always, please remember, you matter. We all matter. Thank you guys for tuning in. Till next week. Peace.